Greetings and salutations. This is our short video for citing our sources for TH-111. Now, I posted a link to just a short YouTube video to explain kind of Chicago style. It's like 4.5 minutes long or something. If you have not watched that, go back and watch that video first, then watch this video, and then go back and watch that video again. I'm fond of using the analogy of counting the teeth in a horse's mouth. What I mean by that is you don't sit around and debate the theology or the philosophy of how many teeth are in a horse's mouth. You just go over and you count them. That is how you answer the question. When it comes to citing your sources, much of it is counting the teeth in the horse's mouth. What I mean by that is you just have to go and look up in Little Seagull how you're supposed to cite your sources, the specific format, okay? So we're going to take a look at this really quickly. And to do that, I'm going to go ahead and we are going to look at, okay. So here's an example of footnotes, all right? Now, you'll notice that they talk in the video about footnotes and endnotes. Now, just so you know, putting in footnotes or endnotes is very easy in Word, okay? So you come up here to reference, insert a footnote, okay? Or insert an endnote. Now, whether it's footnotes or endnotes, is really dependent upon your instructor. Footnotes come at the foot of the page, okay? They come at the bottom of the page. This is a footnote, okay? Endnotes do all of this at the end, okay? I want you to use footnotes for this assignment where you use 4 citations, okay? So what does that mean, okay? So that would mean you would click here, insert a footnote, and then you would put in the needed information. Well, what needed information needs to be put in there? Well, the video goes over that, but also this is available to you on the Little Seagull, okay? Notice here, this is what the full footnote would look like, okay? Now you can either put that at the end of the paper, or you can do it at the bottom of the paper. Okay, I'm going to have you do it at the foot of the paper. Okay, now notice here though, what it's telling you. This is important. It doesn't matter if it's a quotation, the use of someone else's word exactly, whether it's a paraphrase, the rewording of someone else's text, or whether it's a summary, right, your own words. All of these need to be cited. And the way that you cite them, you just have to follow these directions. This is the counting the teeth in the horse's mouth. Okay? So you have author, title, city, where the book was published, publishing house, date, and page number. Okay? Now, if you're going to use that source more than once, you get to shorten it. All right? And I can show you an example of that. All right? I'm using C.S. Lewis's Abolition of Man. Here's the full citation. Okay, so if we come up here, oh, where do I have it here? Yeah. Cultural forms that can belie or obscure what actions or belief an author or writer may be truly advocating. In The Abolition of Man, C.S. Lewis will similarly use what he calls the Tao. I'm summarizing C.S. Lewis here, okay? But down here, I put the full citation. But I use C.S. Lewis again, right? But this time I don't have to put the full citation because I already have the full citation here, so this time you get to shorten it. All right. So what does shortening it look like? Well, this is where you just have to go and look at Little Seagull so it can tell you. Typically, it's just the last name of the author, a shortened version of the title, and then the page number. So for me, I could have just done abolition and put the page number. And this one I didn't have to do it because I was just citing the entire book, although I should have put a page number in there. This is still a work in progress. But you see what I mean? You have to do that. Here it is. Taylor, secular age, 473. Okay, there's the full citation, and then you go different citation. Then you can shorten it after you get into it. So that's just the way that you have to do it. So there's a difference between footnotes and endnotes, but the only difference is whether you're going to put it at the bottom of the page or at the end of the paper. I'm asking you to do it at the bottom of the page. It's very easy to do. As I said, you just come up here, you put reference, you put insert footnote. Now, what's funny is that if you wanted to, you can change at any point all of your footnotes to endnotes. You can convert them. It's very easy to do. So if you put in all footnotes and you realize, oh, I should have done endnotes, no big deal. Just convert them. Or you put in all endnotes, you should have put in footnotes. So you can convert them, okay? And then you type it in. So what we've covered so far is there's a difference between footnotes and endnotes, but the difference is only in where they are placed, at the bottom of the page or at the end. I'm having you do footnotes, okay? When you're citing books, it looks a little bit different than articles. It looks a little bit different than a website. You need to just look these up and follow directions. So here is Little Seagull, right? Here's print books. This is what it looks like. Multiple authors looks a little different, but they give you examples. Author and editors, part of a book. Translation, volume of a multi-volume work, dictionary or encyclopedia, letter to a published collection, book in a series. Printed periodicals. This would be articles in a journal, articles in a magazine. You see what I mean? You just got to go look them up. Okay? They're kind of the same. You have to just kind of do it. Now, in the video that I gave you, it tells you why it's important to have citations. Okay? So you just have to follow the directions. Online sources. All of this is in your reading. You just need to review these and go and count the teeth in the horse's mouth. Okay? As I mentioned, when you cite a source multiple times, you can shorten the citation after the first one. As I mentioned already, summaries, paraphrase, and quotations all need citations. Bibliographies. Bibliographies come at the end of your paper, okay? Here's my bibliography. Now, these citations here are a little bit different, okay? One example is when you're citing these in your footnotes, they have the first name, last name, title. Notice here it's last name, first name in alphabetical order. But also, in your bibliography, you don't just put the sources you cite or summarize or paraphrase, you put everything you consulted in writing the paper, even if it didn't make it into the paper. Okay? You want to give full credit to everybody. All right? So bibliography citations are a bit different than your endnotes or footnotes. How do you know what to do there? Once again, it tells you, right? There's the endnote citation or in-paper citation. There's the bibliography citation. A little bit different, but you got to know the rules. You just got to count the teeth in the horse's mouth, okay? So when you do your bibliography, make sure you cite all your sources, even those sources, That doesn't make any sense. You did not specific that, even those sources that did not specifically make it into your paper. Okay. So your assignment is to submit 3 potential paragraphs where you use at least 4 citations. Okay. So you're going to want to write 3 paragraphs in support of your thesis. You're going to want to use 4 citations, which means you're going to have 4 footnotes. Okay. Those footnotes need to reflect the proper formatting. So if you have a book, your endnote citation should look like this if it has one author. If it has multiple authors, it should look like this. If it's a article, well, it should look like this. Okay, I'm not having you doing bibliographies. I'm just having you doing in text citations, but that's the way that it should look. So your assignment should be 3 paragraphs that support your thesis with at least 4 citations. If you want to use multiple citations from the same source, that's fine. But then remember, the second and third citation doesn't need to use the full citation. You have to follow the rules and shorten it. Now, I would suggest you use more than one source. You should use at least 2 or 3 different sources. But I'm not going to demand that. The key here is just to get you used to doing this. Okay. Now, when you do your paper, and we'll talk about this in class, you're going to have footnotes or endnotes, but then you're also going to need a bibliography. So I use, throughout my prospectus here, I am using footnotes, right? All these footnotes. I've got footnotes. I've got 83 footnotes. Footnotes, because you need to cite your sources. It's very, very important. But I still include at the end my bibliography, all the sources in alphabetical order that I consulted, and they're formatted according to Chicago style. That's the kind we're using, Turabian Chicago style. They're all formatted properly. So if you're going to write academic papers, you need to know how to cite sources, which means you just need to have on hand a resource like Little Seagull that just tells you everything you need to do. Okay? And you just need to you just need to refer to it. It's a reference text, right? It's like a dictionary or thesaurus. You just have to reference it. And the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. But it's really important to have this, okay? Now, there's other information here about how you format your paper. This is important as well, but we're not going to spend a lot of time on that. Just open the horse's mouth and count the teeth. There's lots of good examples, right? It's like, here's endnotes. This is what it'll look like, endnotes, as opposed to footnotes, right? They just list all of it there. I like footnotes because as a instructor, I don't have to go like keep flipping back and forth. That's why I prefer that, to have footnotes, because then I can just read, oh, okay, I can go with this. Like, these are all hyperlinked, so that's kind of nice. But all right, so that's all that we have for this week. The main takeaways are: understand the difference between footnotes or endnotes. Which one you're supposed to do is going to depend on your instructor. So you're going to have to just clarify that. I'm telling you to do footnotes. All right. You need to cite books, articles, websites. You cite them all. How you cite them is a little bit different. So you just need to look these up and follow directions. When you quote the same source multiple times, you shorten the citation after the first full citation. Doesn't matter if it's footnote or endnote. You always cite. It doesn't matter if you're summarizing, paraphrasing, or quoting. Still need to cite. Bibliography citations that come at the end, they're a little different than your endnotes or footnotes. Okay, just a little bit different, but you need to look those up and follow directions. And if your in your bibliography, you cite all sources consulted, even if those sources did not specifically make it into your paper. Okay, you do them all. All right. So these are the questions I'm going to quiz you on. The quiz is going to be very straightforward. But like I said, most of this, all of this, is found in your little seagull in what was assigned for readings. But the readings are more just kind of recognizing, okay, what do I have here? Oh, I got a book. Okay, and it's a translation, and it's got multiple authors. Or I've got an article in a magazine or a newspaper. Okay, oh, I have an online website or blog entry. How do I cite that? And then there's every other kind too: podcasts, social media, government publications. So you just have to familiarize yourself with these resources and use them properly. And that's just a matter of practice. All right, blessings, and we'll talk more about this in class.